Well, good morning from a beautiful North Dakota. It's 6 o'clock in the morning here, and good evening to everyone down in Australia. Welcome to the call. This is our Thursday update call, and tonight, just a few people have been asking me to cover the topic. Katie asked me to cover the topic of really, what's the difference between buying a quality nutritional product, a nutraceutical like what we have from Sizzle versus somebody going to a box store and buying one of their vitamins, and so it's a great topic to cover, because I'm sure that you get asked that all the time, and so do I. I'm a chiropractor. I've been practicing chiropractic now for 30 years, and actually the last 10 I really haven't been practicing chiropractic. August 27th, 10 years ago, 2007, I was involved with a motorcycle accident. A guy ran me over at about 65 miles an hour, and I probably should have died, but I didn't. I was too stubborn and too big. My bones were too big, and it didn't kill me. It actually totaled the motorcycle, totaled up the car, and I survived. And I decided then, that, hey, I'm not going to sit around and collect disability and just, become kind of I guess I look at it as a slump in the whole thing. I decided that I got to figure out another way of generating income and helping people and surviving. And I had 3 teenage boys at home, single father, and I needed to provide an income to survive. And so the doctors told me that I'd probably never walk again. So I needed to come up with a way of making money from home out of a wheelchair. I'm 55 years old. I've never had a job since silly high school jobs working for different farmers and things like that around the area. But other than that, I've never had a job in my entire adult life, and so I just couldn't see myself working for somebody else. And at the time, who would hire somebody that quite possibly, tomorrow I could wake up and my pain would be so bad I couldn't get out of bed, and that's how it was for a number of years. But I decided to get into network marketing, into the industry that we're all involved in, and some of you may be in Sizzle just for the products, and I know there's a lot of people that are, but some of you are here to build yourself a nice income, whether it's a replacement income or it's an income that's going to, provide some sorts of means for, maybe going on vacations, for some extra money for that. Maybe it's a way of just providing enough money that you can buy your own products and they don't cost you anything. And those are all good reasons to be involved. And I think, though, a lot of people get involved with network marketing because they do see it as a second source of income. And so I'm going to kind of cover that as well tonight or this morning, depending on where you live. First thing, I've gone to a number of manufacturers that make vitamins. I've gone to 5 or 6 different factories, manufacturing facilities, and when you go there, you can from the minute you step in the door till when you come out the exit, you can really tell a good manufacturer from a poor one just how they have the whole setup going on. I've been to a number of good ones where when the raw ingredients come in, like Sizzle, they have a quarantine area. The raw ingredients, they sit there and they get tested for quality, not just to see if they meet the standards of the extracts that the sizzle product's going to be used, but they're checking for mold, and they're checking for contaminants and things like that. And the good labs, they've told me that if a product comes in and it's contaminated, they'll send it back. And they've sent back entire rail box cars of products because of quality problems. And I remember someone asking on a tour once, well, what happens to those raw ingredients when they return them? And they said, well, what happens to them is that the manufacturer will send them back, and then whoever supplied the extract, they'll try to clean it up as best they can. If it's a mold issue, for example, which I'm sure that happens quite a lot, they hit it with radiation or somehow try to chemically treat it, and then they sell it to somebody else. And lower quality manufacturers will pick this up. They get a discount on it, and now the second-rate manufacturers can make a product with the same ingredients that we use, the same extract, except now they can make it for less money because they just bought the raw ingredient for a lot less. And so that's happening out there on the market. So buyer beware, because they don't have to put that on the label. They don't have to say, we radiated this to kill the mold that was in the ingredients. And so when you're hitting it with radiation, when you're chemically treating the raw ingredient, you can imagine that not only does it kill the mold, but it affects the quality of that raw ingredient. It affects what you and I are buying, what you and I are consuming, what we're giving to our children and to our parents and to the people that we love. So I always tell people that we know that's what's going on. And the other thing is that the lesser quality companies will substitute ingredients to make them less expensive as well. And you might be talking about, in a bottle of nutritional products at the manufacturer, at that level, you might be talking that they're going to try and save, 10 cents, 15 cents a bottle, right? And for most of us, we go, well, why would they worry about 10 or 15 cents? When you start manufacturing millions of bottles of the product, 10 cents can go a long way, and it can be your profit margin, and so these manufacturers, they know that, and so they'll find sneaky and sly ways of substituting it in there. I know I was talking to Tom a couple of years ago, and we were just talking about CoQ10, how a lot of companies, they'll use a product that by the time it's actually put into their vitamin, it's converted to CoQ9, which isn't nearly as effective as CoQ10. And so when we look at our products, what's listed on the label is actually what's in the bottle, nothing else, and nothing more. And that's probably just as important as that. It's not just knowing that what it says on the label is in there, but we want to know that nothing extra is being slipped in there. And there was a manufacturer up here in my area in Minnesota. It was run by some pharmaceutical guys, and they basically were just taking a big grinder and a big mixer, and they'd go around to all the vitamin supply places, the warehouses, I'm sure, and they'd buy up all their stock of expired vitamins, because after a supplement expires, you basically are supposed to destroy it. You're not supposed to, relabel it or anything like that. And they were buying the products that expired, and or the oops products. Maybe it didn't turn out the way they wanted it, right? I mean, it's just like when you're making a cake and it falls, you go oops, but you still serve it to your kids, because it's like, hey, it's still cake. But with vitamins, this company was buying the expired and the oops products, and they were grinding them and mixing them, and then they'd take and maybe add yellow food coloring and call it vitamin C. They'd add green food coloring and call it something else. They'd add different colored food colorings, or maybe bleach it and have it come out white. But you can imagine that you didn't really know what you were getting, and when they took them to court, when the FDA took them to court, they just said, wow, these are pharmaceutical guys, so they said vitamins don't do anything anyhow, so we're just providing a product, and that was their answer. About the same time that I heard about that, the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, which is a newspaper, a giant here in Minneapolis, about 4 hours from where I'm at, they did a news study where they took and they tested, I think it was 50 different samples of glucosamine products, right? Glucosamine is it's an ingredient, it's an extract that's used in making products for joints and muscles. And when they tested the 50 different samples, I believe it was 45, so 90% of the samples contained so very little glucosamine that it probably shouldn't have been listed on the label, right? So out of 50, 45 didn't pass. That's 90% didn't pass, and so you wonder how many other products go on the market like that. And like Tom says, just because they say it's in there doesn't mean it's in there. If somebody takes and has a big mixing vat that's the size of a house, and you put one drop of vitamin C into that big mixing bowl the size of a house, you can say, oh, there's vitamin C in there. But therapeutically, there's no vitamin C in there, right? And like Tom will say, you can't wave a chicken over a pot of boiling water and call it chicken soup. And I smile when I hear him say that, because that's what these companies are doing. And I remember a few years back, it was about, I guess, 12 years back, I was listening to a nutritional expert, and he had part to do with manufacturing, with formulating one of the top over-the-counter vitamins, and I won't say who they are, but over-the-counter vitamin, the top one on the market, at least here in the States. And they had just come up with their what they called the silver, which was for seniors, and he was saying that in order to get enough lutein that they marketed on their TV and radio ads, they said that we have lutein in there now for vision. He said you'd have to eat 30 capsules just to get enough lutein to actually make a difference. And but they didn't tell you that. So So we know what's going on, and so when people go to the Walmarts and and the other box type stores, they buy their products. The New York State Attorney General here in the States did a report. They did a study a number of years back because they were getting complaints about the same thing that we're talking about, and so they did what they called like a fingerprint of the products. They went and they just bought the products off the shelf, and then they broke it down into the individual extracts, and then they did basically it's called a fingerprint test, and they go looking for the different DNA within the product to see, is it actually in there? If they labeled it, they said there's, vitamin C in there. Is there vitamin C in there? And what they found is that most of the big box store type brands didn't contain enough to actually label that it was in there, and sometimes not at all. And so it happens a lot more than what we think. And now that we're seeing the whole market with the A.G.E pill, the age pill, I'm starting to see other companies popping up already. They say, oh yeah, we got that too. The S2 companies, and so you're going to see that, and because everybody sees the ad that you put out, not just your customers, but the other manufacturers. They see that, and they see the money that's being generated, and they don't want to lose out. They want to jump in. And so we're already starting to see that with some companies, and they're going to come up with a product that's not going to be as effective. And if you read that email that I sent out right before I went to bed last night, and it was a study where they took NR, which is the precursor that your body uses to make NAD, and they did a study, and they used 250 milligrams, which is, by the way, what we use in our age pill, and they did a study with that, and they found that if you took that and then down the road you measured to find out how much was actually in the body, you could see that it stayed in the body at high levels, and if you doubled up and you were taking 500 milligrams, down the road you did the same study, you found that your body actually held in double the amount of the NAD that it manufactured. So when Tom Sr. told us all that for the first 60 to 90 days, if you're over the age of 40, you should double up. He wasn't just telling you that to have you buy 2 bottles of the product. He was telling you that because if you can get those levels up there and maintain those levels for a period of time, what's going to happen is you're going to see the body respond to that, and it's going to respond a lot quicker. Now, I know we're seeing some really, really good testimonials right now, and the product's only been on the market for a month now. But we're seeing some good testimonials after 30 days, and you guys down in Australia, you've only had it for not even 2 weeks. But wait till 2 months. I was up elk hunting in Utah here 2 weeks ago, and Tom and I were talking, and he said, Curt, he said, you just wait 60 to 90 days and see what kind of testimonials you have then, because that's when the product has actually really gotten into the system, and it's had a chance to really remove some of the glycation and some of the lipofuscin for the body. And again, I mean, think about it. I mean, I'm 55 years old, and I've been eating food that's sugared. I've been eating food with fat for all of my life, and so it's coated the insides of my cells with this sugar coating, and it's coated the inside with this gunky fat, lipofusion, right? When you hear lipo, you think of liposuction, lipofusion, right? So it means fat, and so it's fat that's been fused to the cells. I mean, it's a simple way of explaining it, and that's really what I try and do for everybody, is make it so that you can go out and use this information. I mean, because when you're talking to people out there who are you're trying to prospect them, you're trying to get them into your business. If you go out and you use a lot of big words and you try and sound like Tom Sr., you got to remember that the people you're prospecting, they're thinking, do I want to do that? Do I want to have to go back to college and learn about chemistry and organic chemistry and biochemistry? Do I want to become a physician? I mean, oh my God, I'm busy now. Why would I want to do that? And so take the things that you learn and learn how to explain it in terms that people can visualize, right? And I'm sure by now as adults, you've all been to somebody's house where they never cleaned their oven. You open the oven, or you look in and it's all coated with this gunky buildup because they've baked cakes and and broiled steaks and all these other things, and inside the oven there's just a thick coating on the inside of the oven. Well, that's glycation. That's lipofusion. That's where the sugars and the fats have gotten heated up, and they coat the inside of the oven. And somebody's going to say to you, yeah, but we're not as hot as an oven. Well, no, we're not, but we are, internally at pretty high temperatures inside there. And so when the cells are doing this, using hydrogen as fuel, right? I mean, you can imagine that when hydrogen burns, it gives off heat, and so you got these little miniature nuclear reactions going on inside your body, and then the nerve cells, they act like little tiny bolts of lightning, right? I mean, and if you've ever stood at the spot where a bolt of lightning hit a tree, did you ever notice that the tree looked a little burned, right? And so inside your body, when nerves fire, when things happen, when the cell manufactures energy, little tiny bolts of lightning are going off, and that's generating heat as well. And so all of these things are helping to contribute. And then we look at the diet that we have, especially here in the States, and I don't know, how much better it is in Australia, but you look at what we eat. 100 years ago, the average person consumed 12 to 15 pounds of sugar a year. Now here in the States, they're saying that we're consuming 150. So we're consuming 150 pounds of sugar per year, and not because we're putting sugar on our cereal, right, on our cornflakes. It's because everything that you buy, if you go to the store and you buy food, it's got sugar in it. The manufacturer, they add it because they know that it's going to bump up the serotonin levels. When you bump up the serotonin levels, people feel good. They go, hey, that food really tasted good. It really made me feel good. I'm going to go buy some more, right? And that's the goal of these manufacturers, is to get you to buy more food. They don't care if it has any nutrition in it. and so that's really the big deal on that. And one of the things that you can look for, GMP, good manufacturing practices, that's kind of the label that the FDA, that you hear in the States, that's what they give these manufacturers to indicate that they're making a high quality product. And most of the manufacturers, they don't follow that. So, you know, it's just things. It's and there's like 4,000 different nutrition companies. I tell people that I don't know every company. I haven't looked at products from every company. I certainly wouldn't have time to keep up because new ones are popping up all the time. But what I try and tell people is there's really a handful of companies that I trust, that I buy products from, and you know, not every company makes everything. You know, I mean, you notice we don't have a vitamin D product, just a simple single vitamin D3. So I buy that from somewhere else, and I want to make sure that I'm getting that, and you know, just different things. And so I buy from a number of companies, but for my main products that I'm using, it's Sizzle, and we've got just the very best, and you can stand behind that when you tell people that. You know, Katie, anything else that you want me to cover on that subject?
I think you've done a really great job covering it. I guess, no, I think you've done an excellent job. You've talked about manufacturing practices and the different quality supermarkets and off the shelf. I thought that was great. One other thing maybe perhaps is that I mentioned I did a little bit of research before the call, and you know, there's a lot of articles on the internet saying that we don't really need supplements, we can get it from our diet. But then if you also do some further research, there's a lot of doctors, cardiologists, gastroenterologists, and pediatricians. You know, anyone who's pregnant is normally recommended to take some vitamins so that they don't get, can't remember, there's a disease that the babies are at risk of if the mother is deficient. So there is many, I guess, specialists now that do recommend certain vitamins and or minerals to mitigate, I guess, certain conditions. So, yeah, maybe just touch a couple sentences on that as well.
You bet. Well, you know, I mean, we're all aware of what they call the RDA, right? The recommended daily allowance. And most people use that as kind of the gold standard, and they look at the Sizzle products and they go, well, yeah, you know, I mean, we could go over here and buy this vitamin over here, and it's got the RDA in it. You guys add way too much, is what they'll say. And I've had doctors actually tell me that, physicians that tell me that, and I look at them and I kind of smile and I say, do you know what the RDA is? And it really, you know, it kind of fools you a little bit, you know, because we use that as our gold standard. But in 1955, what they did is they took a 150-pound Irishman in Boston, and they decided, you know, here's the minimum amount of this that was needed to prevent disease, right? The minimum amount on a 150-pound Irishman in Boston in 1955. And I thought, well, it's not 1955. I mean, let's just look at a head of lettuce, right? You know, and you'd have to eat 12 heads of lettuce today to get the same nutrition that you did out of one head of lettuce in 1955. I mean, that's just an example. So how in the world can we compare ourselves to you know, the minimal amount needed back then? And then you look at what diseases did they actually check for, and it wasn't very much. I mean, it was like scurvy and rickets, right? And and you start thinking, well, how many years did it take them to realize that back in the early 1400s, when Captain Cook was going across from Europe to the United States, and he was having his sailors take a couple of drops of lime juice, that's why they were called limeys, and they didn't know that it was vitamin C and that they were preventing scurvy. But when most sailing ships would come across, 70% or higher of the sailors would not make it back to Europe, and Captain Cook's sailors would all come back. He would lose very few of them, and that was because he had them all, take a drop of lime juice every day. And again, like I said, they called them limeys, but it took a long time before they realized that it was the lime juice that was making it so that the sailors were coming back. And so when we talk about vitamins, it's the same thing. I'll probably be in my 80s before they really realized the importance of vitamins and nutrition. But Harvard did a study. I think it was last year that I read it. It might have been the year before, but I think it was last year. And they said that 99% of people in the United States are nutritionally deficient. And they went on to say it would be prudent for everybody to take a supplement. That's a Harvard study. So when somebody says, "Oh, I just get it from their food," then you want to kind of, without making fun of them, you kind of want to make fun of them. This is what I do. I say, "Oh, you're part of the 1%. You're part of the 1% that gets all your nutrition from your food." Because Harvard said the rest of us, the 99%, we don't get it from our food, right? And let me ask you this. I mean, here's me, here's you. You're all on this call. You're getting on Tom's calls. You're learning about nutrition, right? You're not becoming a scientist by any means, but you're learning about nutrition, and you're taking supplements because you just automatically think that you're part of the 99%. And then you got this guy over here, like a friend of mine, he's a window salesman, and he says that he gets all his nutrition from his food. I'm thinking, you install windows. You don't even listen to the recordings that I'm listening, and you're telling me that you're part of the 1%? Come on, right? I mean, Katie, seriously, right? Do you consider yourself part of the 1%?
Oh, I know that I'm definitely not, because I've been to the doctor and reluctantly they tested me, and I said, "Can I have a panel of some vitamins and that?" And previously to taking the supplements, I was deficient in zinc and had a B vitamin deficiency. So there's the proof there. So, yeah. No, I'm not one
right.
of the 1%. Yeah, and
right.
I think better than most.
Yeah, you're trained on it, and you still put yourself in the 99% category.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that's kind of the answer that you want to have, and and I kind of try and tend to make people feel a little foolish when they give me a silly answer, and it makes them stop and think, and I don't make them feel really bad. I mean, I don't make them cry or anything like that, but sometimes I try and make them cry, but most of the time I don't. Katie, right? I mean, you're not going to make all your friends cry, are you?
No, Curt.
But,
I won't make anyone cry.
Right? But sometimes you got to do it to some of your friends. You got to just make them really feel foolish, don't you?
No.
Right? I mean, you give nutrition to your dog, for gosh sakes.
Yeah, because I see, dog food has basically no nutrition in it, and I learned that from a young age because my first dog died of spinal cancer after being fed tinned Pal every day of its life at the age of 9, and now Milo's 14 in a month or two, and she's fantastic.
Yeah. What's that video that you're doing, a weekly video log on Milo and yourself? What's the name of that?
Yeah,
Where can people find it?
It's called Growing Younger with Milo and Me. So if you just Google that. So Milo started the age pill 3 days ago, and we're going to track her progress and mine, and just sort of share some testimonials and stories, and we're going to do some tests on her in terms of, like, you know, performance at the park and catching the ball and just cool stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's really cool, and you know, people get a warm, fuzzy feeling when they see a puppy, when they see a dog, and so it's a great way of getting people to catch their attention, and so you can use that. You know, growing younger with Milo and Me is a great thing. You know, little things like that all of you can use to build your business. And even though that's, you know, Katie's, you know, post and things like that, you can use that to build your business. You say, here's one of my business partners, here's someone that I work with, and you can share that with people. The other thing about nutrition that I forgot to share, and this is important too, is that, you know, what's on the label, what's on Sizzle's label, one of the things that we guarantee with the GMP label, the Good Manufacturing Practice label, is that if you open that bottle today and you test it, you're going to find that what's on the label is in the product. But if you open that bottle a year from now and it hasn't been opened, and you open that bottle a year from now, it's going to still contain exactly what's on that label. If you open it up 2 years from now, whatever's in that bottle, what's on the label, is still going to be in the bottle at the same levels. And you got to remember that nutrition oxidizes over time. I mean, you certainly wouldn't throw a lemon out on your counter and then 2 years from now go and expect to eat it and have it look and taste and feel just like the lemon that you threw out in 2017. I mean, in 2019, it's not going to look, feel, or taste anything like what it does today. But in our products, we have to guarantee that. And so you ask people again, you say, do your products guarantee it? You know, and create that doubt so they'll take a look, and sometimes it's just little things like that gets people to actually take a look at what we're doing and what we're manufacturing. So I know that I've run over time again. Sorry, Katie, everyone that's on the call. I tend to get talking, and I should probably have a cattle timer, you know, cattle prod. Somebody shocks me when I hit my 30-minute mark, but I just get talking. I'm sorry. So
thank you, Curt. That was awesome.
I think I covered everything on that topic, and it's recorded. I'll send the recording out to everyone right after the call. If you don't have the recording within the next, you know, let's say hour, because by the time it goes through the cyberspace and that, if you don't have the recording, get back to me and Dr. Curt Ficenec at gmail.com or docfiz@me.com or Facebook, wherever you want to get a hold of me. And let me know, because I've had a couple of people tell me that it hasn't been coming through, but let me know. And so everybody have a great week. Let's finish the month strong, and let's see if we can hit you the next rank. And then got some great things coming in September. We're going to have kind of a new look. Sizzle's really working hard to come out with a way of appealing to the younger generation and a new look and a new feel, and so everyone, let's get really fired up. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Curt. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.